What's up, guys? Today I'm going to do a little bit of a build walk around and a 1.5 year review of my 2023 Colorado ZR2. So I have done clear bra on the headlights and the front bumper. I still need to do like a half frontal situation on the hood. There's only so much that's actually like high impact on this truck, and I've noticed coming from cars, it's kind of cool how high up you are. You really only have to worry about the bumper, and I feel like the bumpers are so small, I guess. Like everything on the bottom, obviously mine's different, but even stock, it's like you can't clear bar all the plastic and the skid plate. You're pretty much like good. Um, I did door edge guards. I always recommend that. Tint, you got to do tint. Wheels, I have the 1552 Range HDs. They are 17 by 8.5 plus zero, and plus zero is super flush on ZR2s. It looks really good. But I threw 1.5 inch spacers on just to get that little bit extra. Um, Going into that, I had to trim quite a bit when I did the 34s. I'll show you right now kind of how much my dad and I trimmed. We just like turn the wheel back and forth. Obviously, it in the rears, it's fine. It's close. I didn't do anything to the rear. I only did the 1 inch level in the front, and then with the spacer and the 34s, there's absolutely no way you would be getting away from that without trimming. It was, I barely even got home, honestly, from discount. So I had to be really careful when turning. But we're all dialed in now, even for articulation and stuff off road. It's good. Okay, so like I said, just a CCE 1 inch level kit in the front. I haven't really touched anything in the back so far, like level wise or height wise. I did the level up suspension tie rod sleeves and the rear shock skids. Um, I honestly, both of those mods look really sick, but they're also so functional. Really happy with those. Pretty easy install on both of them. Um, I did a full skid set from RA Motorsports. It's the engine, transmission, and transfer case skid that fit perfectly together, and they are made for the ZR2 uh, stock skid plate. They fit perfectly with that skid plate. It's not really an issue with my ADD skid plate. It works, but it is kind of impressive. It is impressive how well all of those fit with just a stock ZR2 situation. I love this skid plate, or this set of skid plates. I think they look amazing. I haven't really tested, how hard they can get hit yet. I kind of wanted to keep them pretty for a while, but pretty soon we'll probably go on some trails that I actually need them. So stay tuned for that, I guess. And then for front and rear bumpers, I did the Addictive Desert Designs Phantom set. The front, I have the Onyx 6 Plus for that front 20-inch light bar, which is absolutely ridiculous. You can stand. When I first turned it on, I'm not joking, I stood probably 3 feet in front of the light bar, and it felt like I was in front of like a dying fire or something. I could feel the warmth on my legs, and if you put your hands in front of the light bar, you literally feel the light, like the warmth coming off of the light. It's ridiculous. Um, Needless to say, like the brightest light that I have for forward projection, um, it's insane. And then so for the two on the sides, you'll see I did just S8s. Um, those are kind of more of an extreme angle than I thought, or that they look, because they have the spot beam pattern, so they shoot kind of far. But my ditch lights perfectly, I don't know how much this makes sense, but like if my Onyx shoots straight, the S8s shoot really to the side, my ditch lights shoot right in that gray zone where it wouldn't be illuminated. So the setup right now, I need to get like a drone shot going at night. It's crazy how well it works. So lights out the ass, thanks to Baja Designs, and then the S2s for the rear. So I have the S2s on the rack, but then the S2s down there on the bumper also. So for the bed rack, I did the Tua Pro Shiprock mid height. I think it honestly is the best looking rack. It just looks so aggressive, and I like how small and low down it is. I can still fit the full size spare. So I fit the full size spare when I was on 33s, and it was close. With 34s, like an ant wouldn't be able to crawl on top of that tire, and I had to actually move my spare tire carrier like an inch, which that really sucked. But it's all worth it in the end. I love the way that it all looks. So yeah, it's just the perfect balance. I need to be able to fit in the garage. So even with the Gomamut Bison rooftop tent, like if I put a Lego on top of the tent and I drove out of the garage, it would just slide it completely off. I'd probably have less than an inch. That's why I haven't really touched the height or anything in the back. And I was worried that I was going to rub when I did the 34s in the rear for that reason, because I couldn't actually afford to lift it in the rear. I wouldn't be able to even park in the garage. So I'm glad everything worked out perfectly. I think that the Shiprock mid height is the best looking rack. The value is insane. I've had it on for over a year now, and it hasn't even like started to fade or anything. The hardware is amazing. I can't speak highly enough about this rack and this company. Okay, so and then on the driver's side, I did the fire extinguisher. If you see, I'll put a picture up like how I used to have it. I did a little bit of like a rack revision, and I think that mounting it horizontal and a little bit recessed into the bed looks so much better. All using 2 Pro hardware. Everything that I have mounted to the rack, I just wanted to keep it all like the same sizes so it's easier to work on. So I have 2 Pro hardware for everything, regardless, obviously, if it is made by 2 Pro. The Rotopacks, I have their adapters. The 2 Pro makes its their own adapters, and then I have the Rotopacks for water and the Rotopacks for storage. And I can't honestly speak so highly about Rotopacks. They're so expensive for what they are. The water one doesn't leak, but the storage one I knew wasn't watertight going into it and buying that. But like it's just every time you open it, it's muggy, it's leaking, it's they squeak like crazy. And then I've had them on for probably a year and they're faded to hell. So um, not cool on that side. The traction boards are sponsored by Amazon. Um, Luckily, I haven't had to use them, just like everyone else that buys them. I think that people really use them for getting your tent level more than anything else, you know. Um, so far, everything in Arizona, I haven't really done anything too slippery. It's like just rocky. It's you can be like sketchy angles and stuff, but it's really just rocks, and it's not really muddy. It doesn't rain here, and then I actually wanted to go to the snow this year, and we literally don't even have snow, so I'm not using traction boards too much. Just on the inside of the traction boards, I have my shovel mounted. That's from Amazon too. I actually really like it. It's so faded, but I don't really care. Um, I've used the shovel way more than the traction boards. I've actually used the shovel I use it a lot for RC. Me and my dad go out and we have the Traxxas UDRs, and we kind of like maintain this little track that we have in Scottsdale that we made. And that shovel is honestly amazing how versatile it is. So my power tank on the inside of the bed, the Rough Country spare mount, and then my Pro Eagle Talon with the Pro Eagle mount on the inside too. I'm definitely running out of space in here, but I don't know. It looks cool. Obviously, it's functional. I love using the power tank. I have an air compressor too, but you can use nitrogen or liquid CO2, and having that liquid in the cylinder. So obviously you don't fill liquid, but you'll connect and you can fill the vapor CO2 into your tires, and that liquid off gassing into the tires is a much faster process than the air compressor trying to top off your tires. So you could do like you could do the whole truck in the time that one guy has an air compressor for like just one tire. It's kind of I don't know. There's videos all over YouTube about the price breakdown if you should do an air compressor or buy a tank. Um, Power tank is expensive. It's just one of those brands, kind of like Pro Eagle. But most of the time with those brands, you do get what you pay for. And I just like the cylinder instead of like having to use my outlet back here and the air compressor and how long it takes. The power tank's sick. So, and then I have like 2 other things. The Gomamut tent, Absolutely love the way this tent looks, pretty much from all angles, open and closed. I think like there's one thing I love the overland community and stuff, but I think that the soft shell tents, those just are not for me. I think that they don't look good parked, and I just hate what they look like when you're on the freeway and you see it trying to open up like a parachute. It just bugs me. Um, I think hard shell is the way to go, but even then, I think that some hard shells look really funky the way that the top is shaped, and I love how sleek the Gomamut one looks. And then I also really like the U curve that's on the top. I just love how much dimension that this tent has. And like, unfortunately, we haven't used it as much as we thought we would. We have pets at home, and it's kind of hard to like with our schedules. It's kind of hard to get everything ready for the weekend trip, and likely, it's like nice to take 3 day weekends instead of going out Saturday and Sunday because that's what everyone does. So even if you do take vacation or whatever, and you get a 3 day weekend and you're going to go to a camping trip, it's like it's still hard for us to find the time to do it all. Even if you do take like a 3 day weekend, and it's just hard for our schedules to get everything ready, like going out and buying everything. I have like a piece of shit ice chest. I need to either lock in and buy a fridge, and that's a whole thing. It's so expensive because you kind of need a battery. So I know that all you guys like, you need, most of the time people don't run generators. It's like you get the nice batteries for the fridge. The fridge is expensive. The battery is expensive. I could either buy that or a cooler. I haven't done that. I feel like I was right on that point where do we invest more money into going camping even though we don't go that much, or save the money and do something else with it. Um, it's kind of hard to just have the time to get everything going and have someone come over and take care of the animals. I know that some of you guys can relate right now. Some people are just able to be like, "Shit, you want to go camping? Sure," and they leave, you know, an hour later. That isn't really our situation. So as much as I would like to keep everything on and uh, camp all the time, I'm taking off the rack, and I'm going to be taking off the tent obviously too, and doing a little bit more of like a pre-runner style thing. There's not like too much on the horizon for that. It's just mainly I just want to take it off. It's kind of unnecessarily fading, and it's obviously heavy, so gas mileage and stuff like that. Um, if I'm just not going to use it, I'm not going to keep it on, even though that it is sick and I love the way it looks right now. And we did have some amazing times. I'll put some pictures up from like the best camping trip we did, but that trip up there, up towards the border of Utah, we went to like Monument Valley and stuff, was like 4.5 hours away. And then going up to Monument Valley, the drive back was like 6 hours. And it was a 3 day weekend for that. So it was amazing. And the pictures were insane, but it's just not feasible to do that like once a month, even really for us. So yeah, there's that. And then last but not least, I did the last fit switch panel. I still have 2 open slots on that. I don't know where those are going to get allocated for, but all these lights got to get wired somewhere. I didn't even wire up to the aux panel. Everyone, or aux switch. I think Chevy dropped the ball on that hard. First off, we should have had more switches than just one. I think it's all stupid. If you guys plan on getting more than one pair of lights, just get a switch panel. Before I moved to trucks, coming from cars, I was so intimidated by electronics. Like, I did not, I would be down to do mods, I would be down to do stuff, but like if it was anything electrical, I would be so intimidated. I would not want to do it, and I would need help. And now I've wired pretty much everything myself, even the switch panel. It's really not that hard getting through the firewall on these cars. There's like, or this truck, there's tricks and stuff, but it is kind of a bitch. Um, but just electrical in general on this, it's not hard, and I fully recommend getting a switch panel. The last fit one, I think there are issues when you use the strobe setting. I've heard from shout out Downtime Lost. I think he's gone through a couple, and we have the same version, but I just never touched the strobe mode. And knock on wood, but I just haven't had issues at all. All right, so now let's hate for a second. These are the things that I absolutely hate, and I think Chevy just they fumbled it hard on some of these things. I think I didn't actually have the aux button or the lack of more aux switches on this list, but that's definitely it. I don't think it's that big of a deal, but let's just throw that in. Um, the front doors, I'm not so sure about the back. I can't even fit back there, so that's one thing. The rear leg room is nothing. There's no one sitting behind me. I'm like 6'1". Like, there's no way. A dog would be pissed if he had to sit behind me. The doors are so flimsy, like the door cards, when you go to, like, especially when you're off-roading or people that work out of their truck and stuff like that, you want to just jump in and rip the door shut and like get going. Like, the truck is just such a vehicle that you want to be able to kind of abuse a little bit. And I'm afraid if you were parked downhill, so you had to like fight gravity a little bit when you do close the door, I feel like I could rip the entire door card off. That's in my eyes kind of like unacceptable for how much the truck costs. And being an off-road, like rugged truck, it's one of the first things you pick somebody up, they get in and they close the door, and it's like, whew, we haven't even started going, and it just feels like a piece of shit. That's kind of stupid. Even like right when I picked it up, closing the door, it just, it needs to be confidence inspiring, needs to sound good, and it doesn't have that. Apparently this is fixed. It's not fixed on my truck, but the cowl issue for the windshield, like the cowl in general, I think is engineered poorly. I feel like it's it's loose in there. The corners, we all know that like when you pop the hood, um, like it pushes those side pieces down because the clips are all stupid and engineered like too small. I haven't gone to the dealer to fix that. I do like my dealer, but I'm still afraid that they're going to do some of that stupid stuff that they've done to other people where they're like, oh, it's these ditch lights, dude. What do you expect? And it's like, you can literally pop the hood and see that the ditch lights they don't even touch that entire time. I'm just worried that I'm going to have to deal with that, Um, so the cowl in general, the corner pieces, I know that you could like get them fixed under warranty. It's not the biggest deal in the world. To me, it's just dumb. One thing that does kind of piss me off is I always go to gauge 3. I think it looks the coolest, and just kind of suits the truck the best. And I do have that issue where you'll go to gauge 3 and you'll drive and it's like, it's cool. You park, get back in the truck, and it's back to gauge 1. And you change to gauge 3, you drive, and then you let it sit overnight. You do cold start, oh, and it's gauge 3. Like, lately, it just chooses whatever it wants. It never goes to gauge 2, obviously, because I don't set that, but it either goes to the gauge that I select and stays, or it just reverts back to the original one. Stupid and annoying. I heard that there is an update that stops that, and it'll actually lock on the gauge that you select. We have a 2024 Trax active, and we selected gauge on that, and it works. It stays for months on end. And speaking of the Trax, something that I wanted to add to the list, like this morning starting the truck. So the gauge thing is annoying, but the other thing is remote start or not. Let's like 2-car or the truck in the active, you start and you get in. When you actually hit the start button, the gauges and all of your instrumentation and stuff for the Trax pops up immediately. It's so fast and everything is good to go. You can just drive. And the truck, I think sometimes it takes like 30 seconds for everything to really get going. I have the Christmas tree up on there for the first like 8 seconds. It's just stupid. And then last but not least, my hands are getting cold. The plastics, the bed actually is nice. I haven't really thrown like 300 pounds of lumber and rocks back here. It's probably not the greatest, but the plastic back here is fine. It's mainly the cowl issue, and I'm trying to think of all the other ones. I just know that in general, the UV is going to kill this truck in the short term. I've had it for a year and it's already starting to fade or get like water spots. I feel like all Colorados, let alone ZR2s, are going to be off-road a lot. I don't wash mine once a week like I did with the cars. Um, I've probably not washed this in 2 months, honestly, because it just keeps getting dirty. So there's like no point. But that the UV is going to kill it. I feel like I take really good care of this truck, even though I go off-roading all the time. I don't crash it. The UV is going to destroy them, and I think that in the next couple of years, like maybe like when you're looking in the used market, you're going to tell the trucks that were washed and weren't. I think it's going to be too easy to tell, and I wish that there was something you could do about that. But it's just up to the manufacturer to use high quality materials, when they're making it. I think the interior is good. I don't want the Lexus sticky dash and stuff like that. I'm glad everything inside is good, besides the stupid flimsy doors that you can pull off. And I get that, like, even the door cards, I'm okay with them being plastic. I just don't want them to be flimsy. And I kind of understand like the yin yang of, like, I love the value of this truck, but I do understand that it needs to be badass but affordable and attainable for most people. I personally would have paid extra if I could get a heads-up display, better quality carpets coming from like German cars and stuff like that. The Japanese cars, they're not good either. But like when you have anything in the carpet or just general shittiness that you need to vacuum up, with German cars, you literally, the second you touch them with the vacuum, it starts to pull up, and the carpet is just so much softer and it's just easier to clean. Passenger seats, or the passenger seat for this car not being electric, that's stupid. I feel like having the manual seat control for the passenger is just so, like, stupidly cost cutting. It's one of those things that it's like, how much money does it really save you when it makes a huge difference for the consumer? This is something that I understand is not like that. I wish that it did have a 10 speed, or even paddle shifters with that would be so sick. And I understand that is exactly what everyone wants. It's so cool, but it is so much, it's like significantly more expensive. Having better carpet and a stronger door and electric passenger controls, that's cheap. The heads up display that you can get in the AT4X, I think it's dumb that like GM kind of decides which make is getting what. I think the AT4X is sick. Obviously, I don't like the white interior, and I actually don't like the back at all. I think the ZR2 has a way better looking rear end, and I think it would be kind of cool if you actually did put this rear end on the AT4X, or if you took an AT4X clip and put it on the ZR2. I think that'd be kind of funny how mean it would look. I love the front of the AT4X, but the ZR2 takes it in terms of like the all-around truck, and being, in my eyes, more aggressive but also prettier and cheaper, it's the way to go. And then obviously not having like a white interior for an off-road truck. I heard that it's not that it doesn't get that dirty and it's easy to clean or whatever, but it's just like the principle. I don't buy this truck to have the interior being like white and red. I think that that's just kind of, you know what I mean? Does that make sense? So to go into the value, I think I probably just talked about this, but like the market is insanely aggressive right now with the Ranger Raptor and the TRD Pro, or if you want to say like TRD Off-Road, I think that that's under. The TRD Pro, I do like the way it looks. I think that it does look insane. Even stock, they look mean, but like Toyota, I don't really know how to put this into words. You've heard it 1,000 times, but they're way too expensive. And I get if it was like, it's mean, it's capable, and it's the most reliable that you can get out of all the trucks. You don't want a Chevy or a Ford. You want a Toyota. That all makes sense. And having it be so capable and look so good and being incredibly reliable, I think that it would have done amazing and it would have been worth the price. But it's not actually that reliable, and all the issues that it does have doesn't warrant how much more expensive it is, even over the Ranger Raptor, which is like way more than this. So it's like that hierarchy just doesn't actually make sense. It doesn't truly translate to what you actually get. TRD Pro, yeah, it's cool, too expensive. The Raptor, I think, is way too expensive for what it is. I think the interior is ugly, the rear is ugly, the side's ugly, the front's ugly. I don't like the way it looks. I'll be honest, I am jealous of the TRD Pro besides the reliability aspect, but I've seen Ranger Raptors even modded and they look so bad in my eyes. And I think that maybe whatever they think that the same about the ZR2, but it looks exactly like a Maverick. And the F-150 Raptor, not the case. That is probably the best looking truck, maybe tied in my eyes with the ZR2. Like when you mod them both up, I think that they look equal. But it actually looks like the Maverick Raptor, not a Ranger Raptor. I think that's dumb. So I think with that hierarchy, the TRD Pro, the Ranger Raptor, and the ZR2, it's just, in my eyes, like a no-brainer, especially if it's like your own money. Why spend it on those cars that are the same performance, arguably like less reliable? Because the ZR2, I don't think has any issues besides the stupid coolant thing that we'll talk about. Um, and like the dead battery issues back then, I think that that's all fixed. It never happened to me, but anyway, I think that just with this market, I like that how competitive it is. I think that the Ranger Raptor and the TRD Pro, they are cool, but if you guys really are in the market, I can't recommend them. I think the ZR2 is king. I haven't had the battery issue, but I actually did succumb to the coolant issue. I think that the people that live in areas that get colder saw it earlier. So in Arizona, it's cold right now, but when I say cold, it's like literally mid 60s right now. The places that are seeing snow and overnight temperatures that are just insanely cold, that is the ones where they come out into the garage and they see coolant everywhere. If you guys haven't heard, the Colorado just has an issue with this stupid upper radiator hose that leaks, I believe, when it constricts from temperature. So because of it not being that cold, it's not leaking that bad for me. I just topped it off. But I did actually go to the dealer and they wanted like a $250 diagnostic fee, and they needed it for 3 days before they could prove that it was warranty work. And I just got the truck back from ADD and had the bumpers on, and the tires, they weren't rubbing. Like I just finished like version 2. And I didn't really care that much that it was leaking. I just topped it off, and it actually stopped for a long time, but it's also because it didn't get as cold. So it got cold in Arizona, it got kind of hot, I stopped leaking, and then now it's cold again and it's leaking. So it's not that bad, but I know that that part is on back order. I've seen videos or pictures of it all the way down the driveway. It's not like that where you would know that, damn, I shouldn't drive. It's not like that. It's dripping like this much, or like half a shot glass on the floor every morning. So I haven't even had to top it off again, but I know that that part is on back order. So why would I drop it off, pay, and then have them either keep the truck hostage, which happened to this guy Jeremy in Arizona, which is stupid. They wouldn't allow him to leave unless he was okay with it voiding the warranty, which like makes sense this much. I get that. We don't have to get into it. That's just dumb. Dealerships can be stupid sometimes. We all know that. So I'm sitting on it. I'm just keeping an eye on it. And when I know that people are getting it fixed left and right, and we don't have a sourcing issue for that part, then sure, I'll get it fixed. Another thing, just after that, remote start stopped working. It would just go goog, and I'd be like, ugh, that's not good. And I got in and I would start it, and the screen would flash and it would hesitate really bad, but then it would start. And so I'm like, maybe dead battery. And it would throw like a stupid code, like check rear left brake light, or like trailer lamp, something stupid. It would just be a random code every time. And so I'm just thinking maybe the battery is on its way out. It was able to do that. It started every time for like a week. I still dailied it, but then I took it to the dealer. They tested it, and I was worried because I charged it to get to the dealer, and I was worried that they would read the battery and it would still be too fine, or like be reading too well for them to cover it under warranty. But they did cover it under warranty, so that's really it. I haven't had the cowl issue fixed. I haven't had the coolant issue fixed. I haven't had the battery problem. different battery problem. And I think that's it. I had like a safety recall. They did the update when they replaced the battery. And I'm not gonna go to the dealer to like get the fenders fixed or have them fix the front bumper alignment issues that everyone has. My front bumper, like even being a photographer and like having that eye to like it needs to be perfect, I don't really care that much about the front bumper alignment. Um, I have like a little bit of a gap on the left side or the passenger side. The front fenders, just like when everyone was first taking delivery, mine were popping out on the front. But you can just pop that clip back in and it should hold for a while. But it still messed up my clear bra because they're so loose, that they just moved around it just enough that they were able to kind of like agitate the clear bra, and they broke that side of it off. So I need to cut the clear bra and just get that out. You'll see. Um, what else? So going along with like that 10 speed thing, I think the shifting and the shift points are kind of annoying. Sometimes it drives perfect, and sometimes you get on the freeway, and I think we've all ran into this. I've seen so many questions like on the forums about like how to get it into eighth, because it's like hard almost. You can be going 75 and it's in sixth or seventh, and you'll slow down. You have to slow down like 5 miles an hour before it'll shift into eighth. And then if you breathe on the gas, it'll downshift all back into fifth or sixth. It's just, I hate that top end, how it's tuned, or just the shift points on the transmission are kind of dumb. I wish paddles would eradicate that completely, or just make the auto a little bit better. I kind of, coming from like a DCT, I knew it wasn't going to be good, and I think that it's fine for what it is, but that's just one of the things that are annoying, because when you do, I have a muffler delete and it's a little bit too loud, I'll say that, but on the freeway it sounds good in eighth, it sounds fine, but it's just, I hate being that Jeep on the road going on the freeway the whole time you're just trying to cruise. So yeah, going along with that, I think the cold starts, even stock, the cold starts are really loud. They hold that high RPM for a really long time, and with the muffler delete, it's kind of just insane. I kind of want to get like a high flow muffler just to dumb it down just barely. Um, oh, another thing, my the app, like the My Chevy app or whatever it's called, worked for the tracks when we got it. It doesn't work on my phone, but it works on my girls. Um, and it's so sick. And I was excited, honestly. It wasn't like a big selling point, but it was cool when I got the truck. I was like, oh, I'm gonna have the app. It's cool, but it never worked. So for some reason, I don't know why, but I just was never able to get that app to work. It doesn't link. It doesn't connect. It doesn't see my account. Whatever. That's annoying. Not the biggest deal in the world, but oh, another thing is the lumbar adjustment is kind of lacking in that area. I need like this with a towel on the seat, and I need to, oh, like I need it right in my back right there. Not the even max lumbar on these seats, it's not enough. Um, so I wish that there was a little bit more adjustment there. For the value though, I think this is like why the truck sells so well. It looks amazing, and it's still priced aggressively compared to what it competes with. Um, I think compared to like obviously other trucks, all the midsize is the same size. What I like though is just the midsize segment in general, that it's so capable. They all look good now. It's the perfect size for me. I still like that the interior feels like cramped. It still feels really small. It feels like a sports car. So I've said this 100 times, but it is a big deal to me. But like coming from the M2, I wanted something that still felt like it had like road presence, and this obvious, I don't think it does obviously, but I wanted racing pedigree. That's cool when you buy a car or a truck. I want it to feel like the people who made it actually were passionate about it, and it wasn't just work. And you can tell that the people that did help engineer this car or this truck, they nailed it and they cared. GM is amazing when it comes to across the board. Like their dailies are amazing. Everything about them. The trucks are amazing. They look amazing and they're still reliable. Besides, I know like the lifter issues. But and then the C8, like the C8 is incredible. The Z06, the ZR1, the E-Ray, everything, and then like potentially the Zora. They're knocking it out of the park for the past couple of years, and it doesn't get lost with this truck. I think the Colorado, they did an amazing job. You can tell that with the interior, every little thing looks amazing. I love like the Camaro little gauge cluster. Look at that design. I forgot what generation Camaro it looks like, but then like the circular AC vents, and then the little horizontal ones below the screen, everything looks so good. And then all the switches down there. Um, Everyone hypes up like the camo. What did everyone call it? Like the camo carbon. I think that looks amazing too. The little ZR2 badge, everything interior they nailed. Uh, and you can tell that the people that did design it inside and out, like they gave it their all. There's nothing ugly anywhere, in my opinion. The only funky thing is like on the housing of the headlight itself, how far out the bulbs actually are. So I'll put like a picture of something where the proportions of the headlight are perfect. The ZR2, I think the front 3/4 looks amazing, but when you do look at it from the front, I think it does look just barely on that silly side and a little bit like cross-eyed, that the bulbs are so far apart from each other. Um, the mirrors look amazing. I love, like, again, they kind of look like a Camaro. It's like a Camaro truck. It just looks sporty compared to a big honkin' tonkin' like F350 or something, you know? Taillights look amazing. Interior looks amazing. Body lines obviously look amazing. Oh, I have like a huge list right here. So the last thing, obviously, love the ADD bumper. The front bumper though is so good looking and functional for what it is, stock. Like, yeah, it's plastic, but the cutout, that functional like Vader cut that it has stock, and even just stock in general, these trucks look amazing. And that bumper is probably in the top 5 things, like design Q wise, of why the exterior looks so good. But there's probably some mods that I forgot. There's some things that I probably hate that I'm forgetting. Some things that I love but I'm forgetting. But all in all, like, I love this truck, and even when I bought it, I planned on keeping it forever. Um, I still feel that way. I'm still planning on that. As long as it stays reliable, like, who knows what could happen to these, or how common weird issues like transmission issues. I don't want to jinx it like the first generation or the second gen. Um, as long as nothing crazy like that happens, I'm keeping this forever. I love this truck, and thank you guys for watching.